everybody, this is the Vikström. So in the mid-90s you were starting to see disaster movies show up because one of the benefits with CGI was that you could make, natural disasters look convincingly on screen. So after the massive success of the very overrated and kind of lackluster movie Twister, the scene was set for an onslaught of great, big, spectacular disaster movies. In 1997 we had, if I recall it correctly, two volcano movies, Dante's Peak and Volcano. Neither of them, set the world on fire exactly, but was okay. And then we were not going to have not one, not two, but actually three meteorite/asteroid movies in 1998. I don't remember what the third one was. It was a, smaller budgeted affair. If anybody, remembers what the third asteroid movie that I sort of remember came out, but I cannot recall either who was in it or what it was called, and I have a pretty good idea of what came out which year and stuff like that, but I'm sure that there was a third movie. Anyway, it is beside the point. We're gonna take a look at today the sort of lesser successful and less remembered of the three asteroid movies that came out in 1998. Now, when it comes to marketing department, DreamWorks released a poster a few weeks before this movie came out, Deep Impact and the date released, and they also had a thing. The meteorite hits already in May. Now, why they did that is because a few, weeks or months before the release of Deep Impact, some scientists found a meteorite of some description that actually was heading maybe on a collision course with Earth, and it was going to hit around 2035, I think. It's a forgotten story now because I guess the meteorite saw Earth and says, nah, ain't doing it, and went in a different direction. But now I've been yakking enough about the build up to this review. This is not going to be a positive review because I hate Deep Impact. I think it is one of the worst disaster movies I've ever seen. Why? Let's take a look at why, because this is Deep Impact. Elijah Wood is just some high school kid who finds out that there is a meteorite that is on a collision course with Earth. It is the size of Manhattan, it has enough velocity and mass to actually threaten the entirety of the human race. And as one guy says, when they're doing the Q&A about it, you're gonna get more sex than anybody else in school. Did Elijah Wood get more sex than anybody else in school? I don't know. Maybe somebody has an answer to that. We'll get to Elijah Wood in a second. So how are they going to combat this thing? Well, fear not, because President Morgan Freeman has the answer for it. By the way, if you go back and look at lots of movies from the 90s where the president has a big, part to play, they are always very competent and very humane and very friendly, and most certainly always Democrats, I would reckon. Independence Day, the American president, this one. They're all, the nicest and most friendliest and most competent presidents you've ever seen. I think it is actually because Hollywood really liked Bill Clinton, so they wanted to make positive versions of the American presidents around this time. Go and check it out. I don't think I can remember a single corrupt or evil president from the 90s, except absolute power, by the way, now that I think about it, but that's sort of the exception to the rules. Anyway, President Morgan Freeman assures the human race that they are in capable hands of America and also Russia, who is sort of a small little part of this thing, because they have put together this, ship that is called the Messiah. Subtle name. He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy. Thank you. So, and they're going up there, they're basically going to drill a hole in the asteroid, they're going to put a nuclear bomb there, and they're gonna blow the shit out of the sky, and we're all going to survive despite the threat towards the human race and stuff like that. So basically it is the same plot as Armageddon. And the only thing I really like about this entire movie is actually the fact that the Messiah is populated by actual factual astronauts. We don't have any oil rig guys who are just going to drill a hole doing, the most complicated work that you can, possibly do as a human being. So at least that part is being taken serious. But there is a problem with this movie. This movie is not really about the threat from, the comment, or, the lawlessness that is spreading, or the fear that creeps into the human society or stuff like that. Nope, 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 nope. It is about Tia Leone's fucking daddy issues. I didn't know I was going to hate this movie as much as I did when I went and saw this movie on opening night 1998, but I actually did. One of the reasons for it is Tia Leone, quite possibly one of the worst actresses that has ever worked in Hollywood. I haven't seen her in that many roles, but in this and Jurassic Park 3, she is insufferable. Her complete lack of likability and personality and that zombie-like acting she does makes me just want to choke her out and hope she dies a horrible death in front of her family. Because she has daddy issues and stuff like that. I don't care. And she is sort of our protagonist because she's this news anchor who gets to interview the president and shit like that. We barely get to see what happened at the Messiah. They're sort of sidelined, with other stuff, where people are having emotion, goodbyes and stuff like that. And, we have all these nice sequences with sappy music and, nice moment that is supposed to show humanity with people we don't care about. This is a boring, sappy, atrociously slow movie. Can't the fucking asteroid come and destroy everybody? I have thought at one point, please let something happen, because every time we think that something interesting is about to happen, nope, we're just sidelining that for some, subplot involving, somebody saving the lions or something like that. It is so boring. Elijah Wood is mostly stuck with his sort of kind of girlfriend, and there's sort of kind of an item, and I don't care. Please be Frodo and go and save the Middle Earth and, throw the ring into the fire and stuff like that. I like Elijah Wood, but he's so insufferably boring in this movie that it is difficult to really maintain interest in the whole thing. When this movie had been going on for 1 hour, I was ready to take a nap because nothing really happened. And whenever you thought that, they're showing, newsreels about looting or civil unrest and stuff like that, they never really follow up on it. And they have this interesting idea about, the caves that, they're gonna send people into, so, that humanity will still be alive even if, the Messiah thing falls through or something like that. That's a great story. Couldn't you have told that one instead? Oh, Jesus Christ. And then, in the end, when you have built up the anticipation for, we're going to see some cool shit now, and when they actually show some cool shit, it doesn't look very convincing. I actually complained about this in 1998. I walked out and looked at my friend. We had seen this movie and we were kind of, that wasn't very good. And I said, I thought that the special effect kind of looked cheap and lame. And let me tell you something, when I rewatched the movie for the purpose of this review, not only was my original opinions of this movie kind of validated, but I also discovered that the special effects has aged so horribly that Deep Impact more resembles a mockbuster rather than a blockbuster. They look bad, and when the only thing that is going to stitch this thing together and make this movie look big and badass and awesome, it falls absolutely flat. The only reason why this movie didn't falter any further down the totem pole of the bad movies of the late 90s is the fact that I have seen, 25 years of the drizzling shits since, I saw Deep Impact the first time. So it's kind of saved by the fact that I've seen so many horrendously bad movies since then that by comparison, it isn't as bad, but I will still maintain that this is one of the worst big budget movies I have ever seen. The only saving graces of this entire thing is, the press conferences, the sequences on the Messiah, even though they're kind of shoulder shruggers because you spend so little time with them that you don't care that much about it. And the sequences with Morgan Freeman because he just oozes star power, and this is the type of role that he was born to play. So should you see this movie? The short answer is no. If you want to see a good asteroid falling on Earth movie, Greenland is actually my pick for the whole thing. I don't think that Armageddon is that good. It is a better movie with the same plot, more star power, more, you know, fist punching in the air moments, and actually a couple of moments that was kind of emotionally gratifying. But Greenland is actually the only movie I've seen that actually worked. If you want to go back and watch, you know, an old 70s movie, the movie Meteor that came in the late 70s isn't bad. It just looks a little cheap, but it is a sort of decent movie if it has, you know, aged somewhat. But Deep Impact is just such a boring, such a sappy, such a sugar-coated piece of nonsense that I never ever want to see again. There are few things I dislike more than sappy, sugar-coated nonsense and these, you know, tear-jerking things that aren't tear-jerking because I didn't care about the characters. Oh, Jesus Christ. There are good people in this movie, behind the camera, in front of the camera. Robert Duvall is completely wasted in this movie, and I had such high hopes for Mimi Leader to become, you know, this new great action director after the very entertaining action movie The Peacemaker that came out the year before. But Mimi Leader's directorial, you know, career never really, you know, went anywhere after this one. I only think she did 1 or 2 movies after this, and I don't think I've ever seen any other movie that she has done. This is a boring, slow-moving disaster movie where the, you know, disaster actually kind of plays second fiddles to a bunch of nothing. So, yeah, it's not very good. Deep Impact is a horrendously bad, slow-moving blockbuster movie. I give it 11 points. It has bad writing, it has hokey acting, it has terrible characters, an awful soundtrack, and is incredibly unfocused. I don't know. For some reason it doesn't work. The weird thing is that they actually have all the tools to make a fantastic movie. They just decided not to do it. I don't know why, but maybe I'm just complaining. This movie just wasn't for me. I don't know. I just know that I prefer every other asteroid/meteor movie that has ever been made compared to this one. So I'll see you next time from so and so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.